Hello there and welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be looking at Jackie Chan's 1992 Twin Dragons, directed by Tsui, Hark and Ringo. And this was around the time Jackie was really venturing out, working with other directors like Stanley Tong, Wong the same year, following year working with Kirk, Wong on Crime Story. And I remember having this on VHS in 1996, and you know when Jackie made it big with Rush Hour, they were releasing some of Jackie's older movies into cinemas, weren't they? And they'd done the usual, changed the music, they cut it to pieces. And you know, do you remember that? Because they brought out Twin Dragons again, or because I had it on video, and they sort of re-released some Jackie Chan's, I think especially in America. They sort of, like I said, they redubbed them with Jackie using his own voice, and then, like I said, they cut it and they put a different soundtrack. Basically, they just butchered it, right? They butchered loads of quite a number of Jackie Chan's basically after he got big with Rumble in the Bronx and Rush Hour. But so they did that with Twin Dragons, and whilst Twin Dragons has its moments. And you get Maggie Cheung here, you get Nina Lee Shi along for the ride too, plus a ton of cameos. It's far from what many I'm sure would call Jackie's best movie. So it's always baffled me why they going back to my original point, it always baffled me why they re-released it. I suppose just, movie companies, it's we can make money, Jackie Chan's popular, right, let's re-release any film we can of his and get it on. Because Twin Dragons, there are people that love Twin Dragons. There are people that think it's a great film. I don't think it deserves as much hate as it has got over the years. I can understand. We all know it's not Jackie's best film, but it was one of the movies I thought out of all of Jackie's back catalogue to re-release. Why Twin Dragons? You know what I mean? It's why? But anyway, if you are going to re-release them like they did, sorry, I'm on a bit of a rant here. But why did they re-release them and then just think, oh no, we can do that better, and they just cut them to pieces? They hack the crap out of them. But anyway, enough about what happened in that sort of mid to late 90s era with Jackie Chan movies. I think the idea here, Jackie worked with Tsui Hark in the hope he would be able to provide sort of special effects that hold up for when the two brothers that Jackie plays are on screen together. But unfortunately, the special effects in the movie are really, really not up to standard. Now, this film was all part of the Hong Kong Film Directors Guild. A movie called The Banquet was made before this to raise funds for the Eastern China floods the year before. And this movie here, I think it was to finance their new office building or something like that. And the idea being to have directors and actors all appear in front of the camera in sort of an ensemble piece and get the biggest star in Asia to sort of head the movie, and not just one Jackie Chan's but two Jackie Chan's. I think that was the idea here. Now, make no mistake, Jackie in many ways is on fine form here, and basically at the time of Twin Dragons, many could argue sort of that late 80s, early 90s period, it's pretty much Jackie Chan at his prime. This is pretty much Jackie Chan at basically the top of his game, right, at this point, in terms of just his choreography, his movies, his productions, everything. He's pretty much basically at the top of his games. And the fight scenes and actions in the movie are more than great. But why is it Twin Dragons not remembered that well? Well, unfortunately, it comes down to special effects, but that never ever stopped me having an amazing time with Twin Dragons. This is one where Jackie Chan runs over the top of a moving car, after all, which absolutely blew me away the first time I saw it. Now, I'm not being harsh on the movie. You have to remember, at the time, Steven Spielberg was busy working on this was a year before sort of Jurassic Park. So Steven Spielberg at this moment was busy working on CGI dinosaurs, and the Hong Kong film industry was very far behind. It's no secret that in terms of special effects and computer imagery, the Hong Kong film industry was very far behind when it comes to their movies using special effects. And it was mainly thanks to people like Tsui Hark and the movies like Tsui that the notion of special effects in Hong Kong movies was really pushed and especially opened up to, largely thanks to films like Tsui, like what Tsui Hark did with that movie. Because the special effects in the Hong Kong film just wasn't really happening. They just didn't have the money or the resources. It's a film that I always felt could have done with a bit more of a cleaner, tighter editing, and even a couple of reshoots for the effects that weren't working quite so well. But it's hard to do that when you think you have, when you do the split screen stuff like they had to do. when you obviously think you've got an okay shot, only to find sort of months later in the editing room that it hasn't come together that well, and you have to just sort of make the best deal with what you've got, you know, there's little you can do about it. Obviously, we had Van Damme playing dual roles a year before in Double Impact, which is pretty much, I think it's no secret, that film's sort of where I think Jackie Chan or whoever must have heard of that movie or seen that movie and be like, I want to do that and I can do that better. And I think this was also the Hong Kong movie makers, like I say, just saying, oh, we can do a film like that too. We can have two Jackie Chans. And also as well, you have to remember, this wasn't a film, it wasn't born out of like sort of a creative pursuit for Chan or those involved. This was a fundraising movie. This wasn't built, this film wasn't made because of a labour of love or anything like that. This was a film that was like, oh, we've got to make that movie now. You know, and I think going back to like Tsui Hark, I mean, amazing director. I mean, he's one of the Hong Kong directors. But you know, as we all know, when he went to the US, it didn't quite work because they paired him with Van Damme doing Double Team and Knockoff. But I think this was why Jackie wanted to work, was open to working with Tsui Hark. It's like, oh, well, this is the guy who's like, you know, sometimes dubbed like sort of the Steven Spielberg of the Hong Kong world, or was. So I think that's why Jackie Chan was pretty much, oh, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. So anyway, getting into the film. So we meet the Ma family who have just had twins. Then this guy, Crazy Kyun, takes one of the babies hostage, and after a nice action scene, the baby gets lost in the commotion. Look out for Shaw Brothers veteran David Chang here. So the baby gets taken by this drunken floozy, and as this is all in flashbacks and set in the 60s, look for the Beatles poster on the street in this scene. So one of the twins, Boomer, is left to survive in the streets, whilst the other, John Ma, becomes a talented pianist. And when you see adult Boomer, I remember watching this for the first time back in the mid-90s, and it was so weird seeing Jackie Chan smoke. It was so strange. But I loved, and I still do love, that harder edge Jackie. And we meet Maggie Cheung as Barbara, even with blue hair. If you've seen any of my reviews, like Moon Warriors, Iceman Cometh, etc., you know, just big fan of Maggie Cheung. But even with like blue hair here, she still looks absolutely beautiful. So Boomer and his buddy Tarzan, played by Teddy Robin, go to the club, and even with cigarettes, just like the gum in the Armour of God movies, Chan has to find a clever way to put them, sort of the cigarettes, in his mouth. They try and save Maggie, and fight breaks out with Chan using like the microphone like nunchucks. Also, like, even have everyone's favourite Shaw Brothers villain Wang Long Wei in this movie. Then John Ma arrives, also played by Jackie, who meets Mr. Yao, who I'm sure many of you remember from Police Story as Chuto, who introduces him to Tong Sun, played by Nina Lee Chi, sort of his daughter. We then have a speedboat chase with Tarzan and Boomer, where the music goes very James Bond at this stage. So whilst this is going on, John Ma starts to feel like he is on the boat, right? Because they can sort of, the twins can sort of feel sort of what the other one's going through. They sort of sense what is happening to the other one. To be fair, as boat chases go, this one really isn't that bad. It's not a bad boat chase at all. And funny, they cut back to Nina in the restaurant, just sitting there like sort of soaking wet, which is quite a funny scene where John Ma has like chucked his drinks everywhere. And when Tarzan is hospital, you will notice a certain Luo Kao Leung here as one of the doctors. Tong Sam and Ma go to this restaurant where Boomer and Barbara are. And we get cross shots of the camera like going into the waiter then out to make it look like the two Jackies are both on the screen at the same time. At this point, that point in the movie, none of it looks that bad. Like, it's not like every special effects shot is absolutely awful, but at this point it doesn't look too bad. Okay, not perfect, but it's passable. It's not like the special effects are completely... When you talk about the special effects in the movie, unfortunately Twin Dragons has been given a bit of a hard time over the years, but it's not like every shot is completely awful. It's not like, oh my god, that looks really bad. But there's certain scenes when the twins are really close. It doesn't, like, it's not spliced that well. It just, even watching it again now, I mean, it was bad then when I'm watching it for the first time, but now it really, unfortunately, some of the shots are pretty bad. But as I say, when they're in the restaurant, it doesn't look too bad. So Tong Sam's boyfriend Rocky starts on Boomer, thinking it is Ma, to which she is turned on, as she obviously quite like tough, rough men, it seems. Barbara, now with John Ma, can't believe he can play the piano, as she thinks it's Boomer. Sort of, are you with me so far? As I say, I'm just crashing through the film. Now, this is where the film does slow down slightly, where the twins sort of switch places. But you have to remember, I think this was Lamb and Hark trying to inject a bit of story, a bit of character and comedy into the mix, rather than just relying on the gimmick alone of, oh, we got 2 Jackie Chans. It's like, oh, we've actually got to make a film here, you know. Maggie has this whole fantasy sequence where she is a singer, which I think, if I recall, that was cut, wasn't it? I think that was butchered from the Dimension film's release. I think that they got rid of that. So Boomer sleeps with Tong Sam, and Ma and Barbara sort of share a kiss. And I have to love how Rocky now wants Ma to take him as his student, complete with, he's got an Iron Maiden on it, he's got Iron Maiden logo on his jacket. Then we have like Boomer getting roped into directing like Ma's concert, and the film also is quite a cool testament to how Jackie, how he can play dual roles, one more hard edged and one more family friendly. So when the brothers meet in the restroom, this is where the special effects, timing and editing is a little off. Let's just say it's off. If you watch where they do meet in the restroom, that's when the special effects is quite obvious that the production crew and the team and the special effects department, they simply just weren't up to the task, or they may be a bit off a bit more than they can chew in terms of maybe their vision sort of exceeded sort of what they were able to do, but it does look a bit off. So the brothers take each other's phone. Ma gets roped to help Tarzan, who has been taken by the gangsters, and Teddy Robin, despite being the setup of the movie, like thinking he's going to have like a major part in the film, he's sort of all but disappeared up until now. So Ma is driving a prison bus to free Crazy Cheung, played by Kirk Wong, by the way, who's being transferred to another prison. Boomer just starts conducting, and look out for Wong here in the audience. I mean, say what you will about these scenes, but they are entertaining. There is no, I mean, Twin Dragons is an entertaining movie. It just unfortunately doesn't feel like your classic Jackie movie, because it, you know, what in the sense of what you sort of maybe were looking for, going for at the time. Then we get a whole comedy scene where both twins are hiding in the bathroom. They aren't sure what roles to play, as they sort of both are attracted to each other's girl. Tong Sam gets in a bath with both of them, though to be fair, there was no need for John Ma to get in at all. There was no need for John Ma to get in the bathtub at all. So anyway, so Maggie shows up and is like, bring the briefcase to Crazy Kyun or Tarzan is dead. Yes, there is always a briefcase, isn't there? There's either a microfilm, some film, a briefcase, some money, anything. Anyway, so there's this briefcase that they've got to bring. So the ending comes into play. Why they couldn't just be honest and tell the girls, look, what gets me is why the twins couldn't just tell the girls, like, okay, here's my twin. And that could have saved, I guess that would have saved all the comedy scenes they were got. All he had to say was, because they know, they're each other's twin. And all they had to say was, I'm John Ma, that's Boomer, and we're twins. And that could have been the end of this whole confusing situation. Why they couldn't just tell Maggie Cheung and Nina Lee Chi, like, this is my twin, I have no idea. As I say, the film does slow down in places, and it's far from perfect. But I really do feel the film, as I mentioned before, I feel it gets a bit more hate than it maybe deserves. Ma agrees to go with Boomer to the handover. They go to this dock where there are no workers and it's like completely barren, right? And Tarzan is stuck to this magnet. Then it moves into a vehicle testing centre where we see the director's cameos, like playing cards. And I love how even when they are held at gunpoint, Tsui Hark is still trying to look at the other players' cards. Again, no workers it seems in this place, but it's a fantastic, gimmicky, inventive place to have the end fight. And Jackie, I mean, this was one of them movies that, when I watched it for the first time, I mean, I must have been about 12, mid to late 90s when I first saw it. And this ending to this movie, I thought was incredible. And it was one of them films, it's like, even if you don't like the movie, wait until the end, because Jackie really, because he's quite, when he's Boomer, he's quite a cocky fighter and he's quite hard-edged, but there's some fantastic stunt work at the end of this movie. Now, when Boomer gets going, you get two, well, the whole thing is amazing, but you get two amazing stunts, plus one hell of a nifty fight sequence. One is him jumping through a car window, which later Chan would improve upon by jumping through the steps of a ladder on First Strike, which for a long time was probably my most favourite Jackie Chan sort of move/stunt. When I first saw him jump through that ladder in First Strike, you know, when he jumps through the steps and the ladder, it blew me away. I must have worn my copy of First Strike out because I watched that so many times, but he sort of does it here. He jumps through this car window, But the best is when he rolls, and then he sort of rolls under a suspended car, which they sort of try to drop on him. Then they send another car at him from this ramp, which he just, runs over the top of. And if you watch it, he sort of rolls under this car. The car sort of, one side of it comes down, then the other side of it comes down, narrowly missing him. Then he gets up, then they set this other car crashing towards him, which he just, runs over the top of. Then he does like this backward flip grip roll as this car is sort of crashing to him, narrowly missing. It's like crashes into this barricade. And this, in the space of like 1 minute, you get pure, insane Jackie Chan action. In 1 minute, I would say, with Twin Dragons and them two bits I've just spoke about, if you do know the fight scene, that to me is Jackie Chan gold, right? That is incredible stuff. You get some pure insane action, and that's why I love the character of Boomer so much, that he just loves to fight. I mean, it's a great character, and I wish Jackie Chan would have done that more over the years, being that kind of cocky, kind of come on, look, I want to fight kind of characters. Eventually they suss, there is two of them, and Boomer gets trapped and realizes he can control Ma with his sort of movements, so they send Kyung off in a crash test car. Look out for John Woo as a priest at the end of the movie, and it basically just ends with the twins basically getting married to Barbara and Tong Sun. But again, really crashed through Twin Dragons. But like I've mentioned, I've probably said about 2 or 3 times, I think Twin Dragons doesn't deserve the hate it gets. I think there's some great action in the movie. Yes, some of the comedic scenes do go on a bit too long. Yes, some, like the special effects are not that great in certain scenes, but the special effects are not awful in every single scene. And is it a classic Jackie Chan movie? No, probably not, but I still think it's worth seeing once you've done sort of the big ones, once you've done the Project A's, the Police Stories, the Armour of God. I think Twin Dragons, it's sort of a friendly movie. It's the kind of film sort of your whole family could just sit down and watch and enjoy. But as I say, at the end, you really, Jackie, I mean, especially with them stunts, and I might have to go and watch them stunts again now, because even after all these years, I can still watch Jackie Chan run over the top of that car. So let me know what you thought of Twin Dragons. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it deserves all the hate it gets? And just let me know what you think. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.